Hi loves, welcome back to the channel. This is So with Somi. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I made this Bubu top with a drawstring and a front button. So the one in the middle is the one I recreated, and the one on the left is the inspiration I used in recreating this. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you. For this tutorial, I'm making use of 3 yards of an Ankara fabric, and here I have both the front and the back piece folded on my table. So the only difference between the front and the back is the front has a button allowance of 1.5 inches. So that is what I have there. And to check the width of the fabric I'm working with, so from the back piece, sorry that didn't show, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. That is 15 divided by 2, and from that point I will measure what I have left, and I have 15 inches. So the length of my sleeve will be 15 inches. If you want your sleeve to be wider and bigger and longer than mine, you have to work with 3.5 yards of an Ankara fabric. So but for mine, I made use of 3 inches. So now from my back piece, I'm going to come in 3 inches for the neck width. So first of all, we take our neck measurement for the back, because the front has a deep V neckline, and I came down 1 inch for the depth, and I'll connect the 2 points together. Extend it to the front this way. So the width is 3 inches and the depth is 1 inch. This is for the back piece. So now we'll cut out the excess we have there. So from the edge of my sleeve, that's the end, which is serving as where the length of my sleeve, this is the length of my sleeve. From that point, I'll come down by 11 inches. So my nipple point is 10 inches. I added 1 inches to that, which is 11 inches. And from that point, I came in by 4 inches. I came down by 11 inches. And I went in by 4 inches. So the 4 inches now will be serving as our sewing allowance, and the allowance we use to hem the length of our sleeve. So all I'm doing here now is I'm going to take that 4 inches all the way down to the full length of my gown. And for this gown, I am working with a length of 36 inches. That was the full length of my top or my gown. So depending on how long you want it to be, just take that measurement. So after marking the 4 inches, I'll connect all the points together down to the full length. So here we are done. On that point, we'll make a curve, because remember, this is where our armhole will be sitting. And now I'll cut out the excess fabric I have. So now we are done cutting out. We're going to say take out the back piece so that we can work on the front piece. So for the front piece, the v-neck is wide. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down by 9 inches from the width of my neckline. 9 inches. So depending on how deep you want your neckline to be, you can come down by how many inches you want. So now I'm going to connect from the width of my neckline down to the 9 inches I came down with. So just come down by how many inches, like how deep you want your neckline to be. Come down by that inches, then you connect it back to the tip of your neck width. So all I'm doing here is making sure that my line is straight and everything is looking pretty good. So after getting my line, I'll cut that off. Now I'm going to open my button placket. Remember, it is on fold, so we'll have to open it up. Now I'm done. Next thing I'm going to do now, I'll open it up so that we will see what we have. Like, let's just take a glimpse of how good this top is going to look. And yeah, this is how it looks. So imagine when you're done making this, it will look even more beautiful. So next thing we're going to do now, we'll place the front on another fabric so that we can cut out our facing. We'll be using the facing to turn the neckline and the button allowance. So I folded another fabric into two and I placed my front piece on it so that I can cut out my facing. But before I cut out my facing, I'm going to make sure that everything is sitting properly, that one is not bigger than one. Then after I'm done making sure of that, I'll cut out my neckline. So now I'm cutting out my neckline after making sure that my fabric is sitting pretty well. So if this is going to confuse you, you might pin it. You just pin it, then cut out. After cutting the neckline, so our turn up, our facing will get to the hem of the dress. So I'm going to cut out the excess I have at the hem. Our facing will get to the hem of the dress, so I'm just cutting out the facing at the. So initially I didn't even know this wasn't showing, so all I did at the hem was to cut out the length of my top at the hem. So after cutting, this is what I have. So from the tip of the neck width here, I'll place it this way. Just watch what I'm doing, then I'll mark 3 inches. So this is the length of my facing. So guys, if you don't understand what I'm saying, just watch what I'm doing. It's easy. So from the hem now, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. I'm marking 2 inches. I'll use half an inch to join. Then the remaining 1 inch is what we'll be serving as our button allowance. So remember, I marked 1.5 inch for my button allowance. So here I'm just marking 2 inches. I will use half an inch to join. So the remaining one will be serving as my button allowance. And guys, if you have watched up to this point, thank you so much. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you. And on your post notification button so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And if you have any tutorials you want me to recreate, you can send me a DM at sewwithsomi on Instagram and I'll respond. So now we're going to connect the points together. After connecting, this is what we have. All we have to do now is to cut out. Now open up. Remember, it's on fold, so after cutting out, split it open. So this is what I have. So this is how we'll be joining it on the machine. So you place your facing like this on the fabric this way, then take it to the machine and use half an inch to join it down to the full length. So whatever you do for this side, you do it for the other side of the fabric, and I'll do the same for the back piece. So after joining my facing, this is what I have. I have joined my facing to the fabric. So this is how the front looks like. Yeah, this is what it looks like. So now I'll use my hemming gum to hold it down. You can use your gum stay to hold it down, but I used my hemming gum. So I placed it from that half an inch allowance I use in stitching. So I'll use an iron to hold it down. I use a hot iron. And here is my back piece. I've equally used a facing to turn the back. So this is what my back piece looks like. So I'll use a hemming gum to hold it down. So after holding it down, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll join the front to the back piece. I'll stitch it at the shoulder. I'll use half an inch to stitch on the shoulder. I'll stitch the shoulders together by half an inch. So I'll do this. Whatever I do for this side, I'll do it for the other side. Then I will hem my sleeve. So after hemming, this is what I have. So for my sleeve, I added a quinoline to that so that it will look more firm, and I equally joined the shoulder. So now this is my rope. So remember, this is a drawstring. You need rope. So these are my rope. I have 4 pieces for the 2 sides of the fabric. So next thing we are going to do now, from the sleeve, our sleeve length, watch closely guys. If you don't understand, you can rewind this and watch. I came in by half an inch. From the sleeve length, I came in by half an inch, and I will connect from that half an inch So I first marked 1/2 inch, and as I was going down from that curve, I started marking 1.5 inch. So remember, we'll be adding a drawstring to this, so we need a bit of an allowance that will be big enough to connect to contain our drawstring. So all I did was to mark half inch, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch down to the full length. So this is what I have. I'll take it to the machine and stitch. So after stitching, this is what I have. So from the shoulder measurement, from the shoulder joining, I came down by 16 inches. This is where I want my drawstring to start. So you can come down 2 inches from the armhole or 5 inches, but I came down 16 inches for my drawstring. So this is where I want my drawstring to start. So I'll open up the fabric this way. So watch closely. I'll open it up this way. But before you do this, make sure to iron out your seam. That way the process will be much easier. So open it up this way. Then you fold in by 1/4 inch. Then fold it again. Fold in 1/4 inch, fold it again. Then you run your stitch. This is where you will be passing your drawstring. So just watch closely what I'm doing. So if you run a stitch, when you're done running a stitch this way, then you get your rope, then you pass it through this way. So I'll take it to the machine and do that and bring it back to show you. And after passing your rope, remember to stitch the edge. So this is what I have. I've ironed out my gum stay. I've ironed everything out. This is how my front button looks like, and this is the side. So this is just it. Everything is down, everything is ready and is looking clean. So guys, if you have it this way, your top is basically ready, and we are done with this tutorial. So guys, thank you so much for watching up to this point. I'll see you on my next video.